Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we're going to start our playthrough of Atlantis Rising, the second edition. Oh, love how this looks. Now if you want to see how to set up the game, feel free to check out the video before this in the playlist. Otherwise, let's jump into starting our play. Game rounds in this game are pretty quick. We start with placing our Atlanteans on the board. Then we will suffer misfortunes. Then we'll take our actions for any of our Atlanteans that didn't have to swim back to the main part of the island. And finally, we can endure the wrath of gods, which is, of course, the best part. So, when you play this cooperatively versus what I'm doing right now, which is solo, the place Atlanteans, you can choose to do that in player order. That's where that first player marker is important. Or you can just do where you all place your Atlanteans at the same time. You just got to make sure if there's any disputes, you'd always defer to the first player. The different peninsulas of the island itself give you different benefits. I'm going to go ahead and start off in the city over here because this city lets us recruit our other workers. And the more workers you have, the more actions you can take, right? So I like to go here as soon as I can, hopefully gathering some of my Atlanteans so that I can have more workers for future rounds. Now what happens is you can see that these numbers, this is a number 7, sorry it's sideways, it's just where it is on the board. There's a 7 all the way up to a 9. This city works differently than what it used to in the other game, the first edition. In the first edition you just had to fill out the row and you'd get an additional worker. Here though, you have to place 2 workers. You can see kind of the 2 bubbles here. That means you have to place 2 workers here. Now they don't have to be from the same player, but then as long as this tile doesn't get flooded, you'll roll 2 dice, you'll add the Wrath of Gods, whatever number it is, so this round that's going to be 0. If that number is greater than 7 or greater, then you are able to obtain a worker. If it's not, then you fail. So it's not guaranteed. Now you can see the farther up the island, the higher that number is, right? It goes from 7 to 9. That's because it's safer to do that action up here versus doing it down here. This is because when the island starts to flood, you'll always flood from the outside tile in. So we'll flip this tile over first and then move up the actual island itself. I'm going to place my champion's leader at the farthest spot on this city tile, as well as one of her additional workers. The advantage of that is even if this tile gets flipped, because of her ability, she will still be able to take this action because she's courageous. In this peninsula of the island, we can obtain crystals. So you can obtain crystals by rolling 6s here. If you're down here, it's 5s. And if you're all the way down here, 4s. Over here, it's gold. You can obtain gold by 5s, 4s, or 3s if you're lucky enough to do this one. So what I think I'm going to do this round is go for a bunch of crystal. That's just because I have the explorer here, and his special ability, if I use his worker here, or his leader, is everyone on that peninsula has their target number reduced by 1. So I'm going to go ahead and place 2 out of his 3 workers here. I'm also going to have one of the scholar's basic workers and one of the artificer's basic workers here as well. So we're just going to try and collect a ton of crystals. I actually have one of our pieces of the machine that we need to make, just needs 2 crystals. So if I can get at least 2 crystals here, I could just build that next round. One of the unbuilt components we have is the loyalty apparatus. Now, our artificer can actually go to one of those and place her leader there, and she can do that action. So she's going to do the recruit one of your Atlanteans from the supply. Now, I would love to be able to have 2 people do that, but that is a 5+. I'm only playing with 4 characters, so I can't do that. So only she can do that, and I have to use her leader for it. But that's fine. That means she'll recruit a new follower for next round. In this peninsula, we have the libraries. So there's different actions here. What these all are stating is you'll always get to draw 2 library cards. You can see that. You get to keep one, and this means you have to discard the other. Why that's important is because if that library deck is ever empty, you never get them back. If you go farther up on this peninsula, this one says you get to draw 2, keep one, and put the other one on the bottom of the deck. So that way you don't have to discard it. And if you like to chance it, you can go all the way down here to draw 2 and keep 2 cards. In this game, you have a hand size of 4, and that even includes the artifacts that you have on the table. So the scholar already has 1 card in her hand. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her go here with one of her non-leader workers, and that'll allow her to draw 2, keep 1, and put the other on the bottom of her deck. Now, I put her other small worker, you know, just basic worker over on the crystals, but I actually think I'm going to switch that. I'm going to go ahead and put the other basic worker here as well. And I'm going to put that leader where I had the basic worker because she has that scroll. And remember, everyone that is in the same peninsula as her is able to use their mystic energy to add +2 to their die roll. So that would also give people that benefit on the entire peninsula. Our final placement for this round, we're going to place 1 champion worker, 1 artificer worker, and 1 explorer worker in the center, and each of them are going to gain 1 mystic energy at the end of the round. We've completed placing our workers. We've got 4 workers over here, 2 workers over here trying to recruit, 2 workers over there to draw some cards, 3 in here to get some mystic energy, and we have our artificer leader out going using the loyalty apparatus. Our next step will now be to draw our misfortune cards, and we draw 1 per player, so we're going to draw 4 of them. We draw each one at a time. So our first one, we have the forges. So what that means is we need to flip the farthest tile out in the forges face down. It's a good thing nobody went there. Our second one, we have the mountains. Okay, I didn't talk about the mountains because I believe the mountains are where the ore is. So in order for us to get Atlantium, we have to first get ore, which ore is actually easier to get. You can see the highest number is only a 4, but then we have to convert it into Atlantium in the forges. So we're going to have to flip this tile over for the mountains. Our next one we have the forests. The forest are over here with the crystals. Oh boy. Okay, so if we draw another forest, that means these 2 workers run back to their leaderboards. You don't lose them, but you don't get to roll dice to try and get the benefit. And then finally, we have the mountains again. So we lose this number 3 of the ore. We've now completed the misfortune phase. Our next step is to activate our workers, and we can activate them in any order we want. What they suggest doing is after you activate, lay your character on its side just to help remember, because there's buffs from other leaders. So I will try and remember to do that. My first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate all 3 of these guys and gain that 3 mystic energy. 1 for the artificer, 1 for the champion, and 1 for the explorer, just because they can then use them when they're rolling for these other items. Next, let's go ahead and activate our champion here. So we have to try and roll a 7 or higher with 2 dice. We'd add the Wrath of Gods, but the Wrath of Gods is 0, so that won't do anything. And we have 6 plus 2 is 8. Nice. So that means the champion has gained another worker. She will now have 3 regular meeples and then her leader. We'll go ahead and do the other easy one, the loyalty apparatus. We will use our artificer's leader to do that, and she gains another worker. So now she'll have 3 meeples, smaller workers that she can use. Let's now move to some more dice rolling. So we're going to activate this area. All of these numbers are reduced by 1 thanks to the explorer. So we have to roll a 4 and a 4. And then because our scholar's leader is here, if we use mystic energy, normally that would increase our die result by 1. We can actually increase our die result by 2. Now you have to roll each of these individually because each time you roll, you have to decide if you want to use that mystic energy. So I'm going to go with the scholar first. She's trying to roll a 4 higher. Sweet. She got a 4, so she will gain 1 crystal. We'll move to the artificer. The artificer is also trying to roll a 4. She got a 3. She could use one of the mystic energy, and I think that's worth it. So I'm going to grab one of her mystic energy because she did get 2. That's going to add 2 to her roll, but only needed to be 1, but that's okay. She'll gain a crystal for that. Next, we'll have our explorer go twice. So we'll do the leader first. He needs to roll a 4, and he gets a 4, so that's 1 crystal. And then, come on, second 4. That's a 2, but that's okay. We can use our crystal that we have here to add +2 to that, thanks to that scholar being there, and that gives us another crystal. Yeah, so technically, we all succeeded. I will not be sad about that. Our final step will be to activate our scholar's 2 characters over here. So we'll do draw 2, keep 1, put the other on the bottom. Then we'll draw 2 more, keep 1, and put the other on the bottom. Our first 2 cards to choose from are Secret of Greed. Discard 1 gold, then gain 2 of your followers or 4 volunteers. So those volunteers are those gray characters that you can get for 1 round, but 2 of your characters, you could just recruit 2 of them right there. You need 2 gold, but that's kind of tempting. Or the Codex of Continuity. Discard 1 drawn misfortune before it resolves. Wow, they're both great. I just feel like the Secret of Greed gets us a better benefit than just canceling one misfortune. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Secret of Greed and put the Codex of Continuity on the bottom of the deck. Next, R2 are the Science of Shielding. Place a Mystic Barrier. This may violate the usual placement rules for Mystic Barriers. Or Foresight. Reveal misfortune cards equal to the number of players, a minimum of 4, and discard any number of them or replace the rest in any order you choose. Oh, I like that Foresight. We could just use it for next round and guarantee that we know where things are. Yeah, I'm going to keep the Foresight. I'll put this one on the bottom of the deck. And I only think it makes sense to use this right now. So we're going to look at the top 4. So we've got Forges, we've got Hills, we've got Cities, and we have a Controlled Flood. Well, we're going to discard the Controlled Flood, no question, because those are terrible. The Controlled Floods make us flood 2 tiles. So we're going to know these 3 with an unknown for the last one. That's still helpful, though, because we can know that, okay, the cities, if we put our champion there, she'll be able to still obtain a worker, potentially, as long as she can roll high enough. And so I might just do that again. Hills, though, we know we can't go to the farthest one. The Forges, that's going to be the second tile that's being flooded. Yeah, so definitely helpful. The final step is suffering the wrath of gods. Right now we're at 0. We're good, but now it's going to move to 1. So the next 2 rounds, we're going to have to flood 1 tile at this point. Then it's going to be 2, and then it's going to be 3 each round. That's the end of round 1. Feeling pretty good. I already can build 1 component, which is great. I'm planning on the Scholar and pretty much everyone going to get gold next round. And then with that, what we can do is grab the Scholar's 2 other workers, so she'll have her other workers. I'm hoping to have the champion come here to get more workers as well. Yeah, it's just when you have more workers, you can do a lot more action. So I feel like it's always important to get them as soon as possible. To start off round 2, our Artificer is going to go ahead and do the Recruit 1 Atlantean. That means that she'll have her full cast, and she can go to other components for next round. I'm going to keep with my strategy of everyone going on that same tile when they're gathering, essentially. I'm going to have the Scholar and the Explorer looking to get gold. So now all these numbers are reduced by 1. So they need to get a 3, they need to get a 4. And if they use Mystic Energy, it's worth 2 instead of 1. Our Artificer is going to try and collect at least 1 ore, and then be able to use 1 ore to convert into 2 Atlantium. We have our champion who's using 1 of her workers here to gain some Mystic Energy. She's also going to the library to obtain some cards. And finally, we know that this tile is going to be flooded, but the nice thing is that we know that the champion can still activate even when that tile gets flooded. That's her special ability. So we placed her here to hopefully get to roll a 6 now. That's all we have to roll because the Wrath of Gods is at a 1. And I can't believe I almost forgot. We have our Explorer. He's going to build our first tile using the 2 crystals that he's obtained. So he has placed his worker here, and then at the end of the round, he'll use these 2 crystals that he has, or not end of the round, but during the activation phase, he'll use those 2 and then build the solar matrix. Now let's go ahead and draw our misfortunes. We know 3 of them, so we have the cities, and I'll do this just because of recording, the ease of recording. I'll do this at the end of this activation. Technically, we should do this now, but it shouldn't really matter. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't for her since all of her other characters are safe, essentially. So our second one is the Hills. That's going to be over here. We're going to flip this one over. Our third one is the Forges. And our fourth and final card that we don't know what it is the Hills. Oh, okay, nobody's there. Good, 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 good. Okay, so we can now activate. I'll go ahead and start with the champions, since technically we should have done it a little bit earlier. It's important to note that the champion has 1 worker that's in the center tile. We cannot use the Mystic Energy that's gained by that worker because this is happening during the misfortune phase. Let's give this a roll. Oh my gosh, that's 10. I definitely think that's enough to obtain her second and final additional worker. We'll activate the Artificer next. She'll go ahead and grab her final additional worker. We'll then activate the worker in the Mystic Power Core here, and that will obtain 1 Mystic Energy for the champion. She now has 3. Now let's go ahead and do a bunch of rolling. So for our Artificer, we're going to try and roll twice to get a 4 plus to get 1 ore. Then over here, we'll have 2 for our Explorer, trying to get a 4. And then the Scholar here, 1 to get a 4 and 2 to get a 3. We'll start with our Artificer. She'll roll trying to get a 4. That is definitely higher than a 4, a 6. So that gets her 1 ore. Let's give her a roll again for her second worker. She has a 3. She does have 1 mystic energy. Why the heck not? Let's use it, and that will add +1 to her roll. So that means we have 2 ore. Then she has that 1 worker that's in the forges, and it's going to be able to convert one of these ore pieces into 2 Atlantium. That's the whole reason I wanted to do that, because the rest of the places in the forges, it's only 1 for 1. So that was a nice, I'm glad I did that. I wish I had done more of those, but it is what it is. We'll now move to the scholar. Let's go ahead and do the scholar who's trying to roll 4 or higher. First, a 4. Sweet. That gets us 1 gold, and that's for the scholar. Then we're going to do the scholar ones that need a 3 or higher. Here's our first one. That's a 5. Great, we've got our 2 gold. We're going to be able to get our 2 workers. And then our final one, a 3 or higher. That's a 1. Nah, I don't have enough mystic energy to change that, so that's fine. Then we'll do our explorer. Our explorer needs to roll a 4 or higher. He gets two rolls. He rolled a 3 for this first one. Let's go ahead and use that mystic energy. He doesn't have any mystic energy left, but that will get him 1 gold. And then our second roll is a 1. No gold for that one. Finally, our champion has a worker in the libraries looking to draw 2 cards, keep 1, and put the other at the bottom of the deck. We have some pretty sweet cards here. We've got a Creation Prism. This is at the start of each round, choose a player to gain 1 mystic energy. How can you say no to that? Mystic energy you can use to re-roll. I haven't even shown you all the other things you can do with mystic energy. I'll show you after I pick that one. Now we also have Virtue of Sharing. All players may immediately exchange any number of resources, mystic energy, or library cards with other players. And I'm kind of tempted, because one of the things you can do with your mystic energy, and our champion has 3, is you can spend 1 mystic energy to keep 1 additional card. I'm trying to decide if that's worth it, because it's going to go on the bottom of the deck if I don't choose it, so that means we're probably not going to see it. But that's so nice, because then you don't have to spend so many workers on the board to build components when you have the pieces, but they're spread across 3 different players. Yeah, let's do it. We've got 3 mystic energy. Let's go ahead and use 1 of the mystic energy so we can actually keep both cards. I almost forgot that we had our explorer sitting here to build one of our components. Our component is the solar matrix. This one we get to place 1 mystic barrier when we build this. So we get to place 1 of these on one of the peninsulas, and I think I'm going to put it on the forges because the forges seems to be the one we've drawn the most. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of them that have 2. I'm still going to do the forges though, because then we can maybe take a risk and have someone else try and get ore and get 2 Atlantium another time. So yeah, I'm going to put this on the forges. Now we need to suffer the wrath of gods. So we need to flood 1 tile. I'm going to go ahead and flood 1 of the city tiles. So that is a level 8 tile. We have to roll an 8 or higher. I'm going to flip that one over. We'll then move this 1 more space. We have 1 more round where it's only flipping 1 tile, and then it's 2. Before we move to the next round, we are going to have our scholar discard the Secret of Greed, getting rid of these 2 gold pieces and getting 2 more of her workers. And then the other thing is I want to show you what you can do with this mystic energy. So you've seen that I've used it to add +1 to die rolls, or +2 because of our scholar's ability with this card. Our second thing is we can, and you've seen this too, I can use a mystic energy to keep 1 additional card. We can always pay 1, 2, 3, 4 mystic energy to put out a mystic barrier. Or we can spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mystic energy to unflood 1 flooded tile. So that mystic energy can become super important. Just so you can see, this is our tile that we had to flip over because of the wrath of gods. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles in the city, so I feel okay. Kind of. So everybody except for the explorer has all of their workers. Our explorer hasn't gotten any of his additional workers, so we've got to get him on that. I think he's going to be coming over here for next round. To start this round, before I forget, I'm going to have the champion give the explorer 1 mystic energy. Our artificer is going to go ahead and go to the amplification harbor. This lets us discard 1 resource, then any player takes 2 of that resource from the supply. And you're going to see why I'm doing that. We're going to have a party on the Crystal Peninsula. So we've got 3 of the scholar workers, 1 of the explorers, so it's going to reduce everyone's number by 1. And then we've got 1 champion worker. We have 4 workers here getting mystic energy. We have 1 of the explorer's workers and then the leader of the champion here in the cities, because because that leader's here, if that tile gets flipped, they can still do that activation. Finally, we have one champion and one scholar here drawing some cards, and we have 2 of the artificer's workers getting Atlantium. I am hoping that I'm going to be able to build a component this round, so I am placing one of the explorer and one of the artificer's workers here in this location because both of them are going to contribute resources to build that component, as long as everything falls into place, which we'll see. Let's start drawing. So our first card is the cities. So once again, we will be able to do this action. We're trying to roll an 8 or higher, but I am going to do that after I flip. There we go. Our second card will be, let's see, controlled floods. This is the first time you're actually seeing this. So I have to flood 2 different tiles. 2 different tiles. Yeah, the libraries haven't been hit at all. Let's do the libraries. Oh, and by the way, the important thing about those controlled floods, if I had chosen the forges, I'd immediately lose that mystic barrier and it wouldn't do anything. So I definitely don't want to choose the forges. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of these 2 in the libraries. I mean, it's risky because I still have to draw 2 cards and those 2 could be lost. Forest. Okay. Forest is here. Oh. Okay, I'm risking it. I don't have anything that I can do, so I'm just going to draw the last card, and we have forges. That's great. I have that mystic barrier, so that will just be removed. Oh, okay. Everyone's all right. Now, I will mention that in the first edition, you actually could use mystic energy during the misfortune phase to cancel those misfortune cards. You can't do that in this edition, and I think that's better. It makes the game harder. As you can see, this island is very quickly sinking, and I have only built 1, and since all the workers are here, I'll be able to build 1 other one, so I'm going to only have 2 components built. Let's first start trying to roll an 8 minus 1 because of where the Wrath of God is, a 7 for our explorer, so that he can gain 1 of his workers. Looking for a 7 in total. 6 plus 3, that's 9. Great. So he will get 1 of his workers. Now let's gain all of our mystic energy. We're going to get 2 for our champion. We're going to get 1 for our artificer. And we're going to get 1 for our scholar. Then it's dice rolling time. So we're trying to roll a 4 for these 2 and a 5 for these 3. We'll start with the leader scholar. So she's trying to roll a 4 or higher. And she gets a 4. That's a crystal. Great. Then we have our leader explorer. He's also trying to roll a 4 or higher. He rolls a 3. Thank you for that mystic energy. We're definitely going to use that so that we gain a crystal for that as well. Now we have to roll 5s. Okay, we're going to start with the champion. The champion has 4 mystic energy. So we have to roll a 5 or higher. That's a 2. Not worth it. Not going to spend it. That's just a fail. Then we've got 2 scholar ones. They're both trying to roll a 5. We have a 1, that's a failure. And our second one, that's a 6. Yes. So she actually has 3 crystals, you guys. That is great. Then we're going to have some fun. We're going to go ahead and use this amplification harbor. We're going to discard 1 resource. So we're going to discard this 1 ore to gain 2 ore and actually give that to the artificer. So this just guaranteed that I was going to get an ore, which I'm okay with. Then because where our 2 workers are here, we're going to gain from those 2 ore 4 glorious Atlantium. Then we'll activate our 2 workers here, 1 for the champion and 1 for the scholar, each to draw 2, keep 1, and put the other at the bottom of the deck. Here are the 2 cards for our scholar, and there's not a question. I'm using 1 mystic energy to keep both. We have the Rune of Reprieve, unflood 1 flooded to island tile. I will take that. But then we have the Glimpse of Truth. Discard 1 crystal, then gain 7 mystic energy. So I'm going to spend this mystic energy to keep both. And then I'm going to immediately give up 1 of the crystals that I have to gain 7 mystic energy. That means she has 8 mystic energy. For our champion, we have the Scripture of Defiance. Wound Counselor re-rolls the dice of an action just failed and attempts the action again. If the new result is lower than the original, they gain 1 mystic energy. Ancient Atlas. Choose a wild peninsula. All target numbers in that peninsula are reduced by 1. Yeah, I think that's not a question. We will put this one at the bottom of the deck. Finally, we're going to build one of the level D components using 4 Atlantium, 1 gold, and 1 crystal. That's from both of the Explorer and the Artificer's supplies. That is the contingency field. Place 1 mystic barrier and gain 1 mystic energy. Now it takes 2 workers. You can see here there's 2 bubbles here. You have to place 2 workers to do this, but that's a pretty sweet ability. That is our second component built, and it's a D level, which is great. We only have 2 more really hard ones to build. Finally, we have the Wrath of Gods. We're going to flip one more tile. We're definitely going to do the cities tile again. There's only 2 left there, but I just don't really need the cities. Something to note, though, if an entire peninsula is flooded and you draw a card for that, you have to choose another peninsula and flood 2 tiles in that one. So I don't want to go completely haywire on that cities, but I definitely can take another hit there. The island's sinking, and it's sinking fast. But I'm feeling pretty good. Everyone has their extra workers except for the explorers, just missing 1. I might just forego it. I don't know. I feel like I've got enough workers. Now it's time to push hard on building those components. For this round, you guys, we're going to go all out gold. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to, before I do anything else, and I don't want to forget, I'm going to give 1 mystic energy to the explorer, thanks to the champion's artifact. Then I'm going to play unflood 1 flooded island tile. And I'm going to unflood this one. Perfect. So now we have 2 spots that are 4 pluses. Then I'm going to spend 4 out of those 8 mystic energy that our scholar has to place a mystic barrier here to help protect the hills. And then we're going to place all of these workers here in the hills. Don't forget, it's -1 because of our explorer, and all mystic energy is +2. Plus, we're going to play the Ancient Atlas. Choose a wild peninsula. All target numbers are reduced by 1. I'm going to put that over here so I don't forget. So this would be normally a 4. It's a 3 because of the explorer, and now it's a 2 because of the Ancient Atlas. So we're filling this up, trying to get a bunch of gold. On this part of the island, we're going to place 1 of the explorer's workers here to gain some mystic energy. We have 2 workers here rolling a 4+ to try and get some ore. And then these 2 with our champion, so no matter what, we get to roll there even if that island tile sinks, try and roll a 3+ for some ore. And then we've got 2 workers over here trying to convert 1 ore into 2 Atlantium. And we're going to protect it with a mystic energy, or a mystic barrier, spending 4 more mystic energy, 3 from the scholar and 1 from the champion. I wanted to note that the 4 and 5 cost mystic energy abilities, you can share your mystic energy resources for that. We placed our artificer here at the same amplification harbor because she has 1 crystal, so she can discard that 1 crystal to get 2 to somebody else. Finally, I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to build a component with the artificer and the scholar. So I've placed both of them here, hoping to build our 3rd component. Feeling mostly good about this. We'll see. Let's draw our first one. We have the forest. Okay, so that's here with the crystals. So we're going to lose this one. Then our second card is the mountains. So that's where we are over here. So I will flip that, and like normal, we'll roll after we flip all the cards. We'll grab our 3rd card, and we have, Spur the Cycle. Okay, reshuffle the Misfortune discard pile into the Misfortune deck. The current player does not draw another Misfortune. If Spur the Cycle is discarded, reshuffle the Misfortune deck. Basically this is forcing you to reshuffle. So nothing happens. It's like a clear seas card. But now we're going to have to shuffle up, and we have to draw 1 more card. We're all shuffled. Here is our final card. We have the cities. That's not terrible. Well, it kind of is. We only have 1 tile left in the cities. The good thing is we'll be able to activate all of our workers, and we didn't even lose either of our mystic barriers. So the first thing we'll do is we'll grab this mystic energy for our explorer. Oh, and I really should do these guys over here, trying to roll for a 3+ for ore. We'll start with our champion. She will roll a 3. Perfect. She gets 1 ore. And then for our artificer, she will roll a 3, and she also gets an ore. Now they each have a worker in the 4 spot for the ore, so let's just do all the ore right now. We have a 1 for the champion, and then for the artificer, we have a 6. Okay, so the artificer got a 2nd ore. The champion only has 1 ore. They do each have a worker in the forges, so they're going to convert 1 ore each into 2 Atlantium. I now want to see all the gold with us. We have to roll a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 3 here. And remember, each mystic energy is worth 2 because of the scholar. So we'll start with the champion rolling a 2 or higher. Are you serious? We roll a 1. Well, we're definitely going to use a Mystic Energy. That's why we have it. So that will get us 1 gold. And then, come on, just not a 1. Okay, great. There it is, 2 gold. We'll do the same thing for the Scholar. First roll, that's a 4, so that's 1 gold. Second one is a 6. That is 2 gold for her. Awesome. And then the Explorer has 3 workers there, so we'll roll 3 times. We have to roll a 3 or higher. First one, a 5, so that's 1 success. And we'll grab this for a second roll. That's a 3, so that's 2 successes. And then our third one, that's a 5. That's 3 gold. We got, how much? 3, 4, 5, 7 pieces of gold. That's great. Next, we'll do our Amplification Harbor. We will discard 1 crystal to give 2 crystals to the Explorer. Finally, we're going to build another component. We're going to build this component that we're probably not going to use, the Loyalty Apparatus, because we already did. We needed a total of 2 crystals and 3 Atlantium. Here's our 2 crystals, that's from the Scholar, and the 3 Atlantium is from the Artificer. Finally, at the end of the round, we're going to go ahead and do the Wrath of God. We're going to flip 2 tiles, and I think I'm going to choose both of them to be in the libraries. This will end this round. Although the libraries and the cities are looking a bit dire, I'm happy with how the remaining part of the island is looking. We've got 2 Mystic Barriers. We've got a ton of resources. I think we should be able to build 2 components next round. Let's do it. For this round, we're going to go ahead and use the Spirit Seal. So we're having the Artificer use her leader, so we can place workers here. We have to place 2 workers to activate this tile. So the Scholar will use one of her regular workers to place for the second spot, so we can activate this. It says cancel a misfortune. If it's a special misfortune, return these 2 followers to the supply. I'm probably not going to cancel a special one. The special one would be like a controlled flood, but at least I could cancel, maybe if I flip over the cities and there's only 1 spot left, I can stop that here. I need some gold for the champion, so I'm going to go ahead and try 2 gold here. And don't forget, first of all, we've got a Mystic Barrier, but second of all, even if we lose this tile, they'll still be able to do that because of our champion's ability. We still need a ton of crystals, so I'm dropping a ton of workers over here. We've got our Explorers, we can reduce the numbers to a 5 instead of a 6. And we have our Scholar so that we can have Mystic Energy be at 2 instead of 1. So you can see 2 of our champions, 3 of our Scholars, and 1 of our Explorer. We also have 2 of our Artificers trying to obtain some ore, and then we have 1 Artificer trying to convert 1 ore into 2 Atlantium. Because we got some nice resources last round, I'm hoping that the Champion and the Explorer are going to be able to build components this round, and both of them are the D components, you guys, if everything works out. That would be great. Then I just got 2 C's and 2 A's to go. And then, of course, the Power Core. And then I'm also going to use this contingency field. It takes 2 workers, but after, during the resolution phase, we can place 1 Mystic Barrier and gain 1 Mystic Energy. We'll start our drawing. So we'll draw our first one. We have the Forges. Great. We have a Mystic Barrier there. We can remove that. Our second card is the Mountains. Do I want to cancel that one? Let's go ahead and use our Spirit Seal. So I'm going to use these 2 workers to cancel that one. I don't know. There's 3 left. There'll only be 2 left. So yeah, let's cancel that one. We have a Controlled Flood. Oh, Controlled Flood. So we have to flood any 2 sections, and Mystic Barriers do not prevent it. What stinks is I'd love to do, look at this, we've got all this space here, but then I'm not using this Mystic Barrier. So I don't want to do that. So I think I'm going to do the Forests for 1, and we'll go ahead and do the Mountains for the other. Our final card, we have, oh, finally, there's only 3 of these in the deck, but I will take it. A Calm Seas, nothing happens. Let's now move to resolution. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the gold, then we'll move to the Artificer for ore, and then we'll end over here for the crystals. I need one of these 2 rolls for our gold to work for our champion. We need to roll a 4 or higher. That's a 1, so that's a fail. Our second one, that's a 6. Great. We needed 1 gold, and we got it. We'll now move to the Artificer. We're rolling for a 4, and we have a 4, so that gives us 1 ore. And let's see if we can get a second one. That's a 6, so that is 2 ore for our Artificer. We'll then be able to convert this 1 ore to 2 Atlantium because of the Forges. Now it's crystal time, so let's go ahead and roll. We'll start with the Champion. They need to roll a 5 thanks to the Explorer. Come on. Yes! That'll work. That's exactly what we need. So our champion has the crystal that she needs to be able to build her spirit seal. Now we'll do the scholar. So the scholar, we have 3 workers there, all trying to roll a 5. Oh, 5, that'll work. So there's 1. Let's see about our second one. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's 2. And let's see about the third. That's a 6. Wow. All right, all 3 for her. Great. We'll do 1 for our explorer. That's a 1. And then I'm realizing on that top row, we do have 1 more champion. So she's going to try and roll for a crystal, trying to roll a 5 or higher. And she rolled a 4. Oh, she's got 1 mystic. Let's use it. We'll use that 1 mystic energy to add +2 to that, but that'll get her 1 more crystal. Wow, that was beautiful. I think we missed with 1, and it was the explorer, of course. We're going to go ahead and activate the contingency field. We will use 1, or we'll gain 1 mystic energy. I'm going to go ahead because it could go to either one. I'm going to give it to the artificer because she only has 1 mystic energy. The scholar has 2. Our champion has 1 crystal, 2 Atlantium, and 3 gold. 1 crystal, 2 Atlantium, and 3 gold. We've just built the spirit seal. Our explorer has 2 crystals and 2 gold, just what we need for our essence multiplier. So we now, is that over half? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, it's exactly half. We are halfway through. That actually sounds terrible, but we have most of the C's. Well, no, we only have 1 C. We have all the D's, though, so all we have left are 2 C's and 2 A's. The A's should be much easier to obtain, hopefully. Finally, we move to the Wrath of Gods. I'm going to go ahead and flood the 2 tiles that have mystic barriers. So both of the mystic barriers are just going to be removed from the board. I think that's the best way to do it. Because then if I get a controlled flood, I can kind of choose where I want to use them. I kind of want to use that in the hills anyways, because that one's the most, that has the most open tiles. Yeah. And last time I think I forgot to show you guys I moved this to the second too. So next round we're going to have to flood 3 tiles. So this time you won't see any additional tiles flooded. You just won't see any mystic barriers on the board. That'll end this round. As you can see, this peninsula, the island must be tipping into the water this way because this one has the most land left. So it probably won't last, but I'm still feeling pretty good. Let's jump to the next round and let's see if we can build 2 more components. I mean, I'm hoping if I can do 2 this coming round, 2 the next round, and then the power core to end the game. So I'm hoping 3 more rounds and we've won the game. We'll see. I've checked and I have the resources I need to build the 2 C components. So I'm going to do that this round. So right now, all I'm trying to do is gather the materials needed for the 2 A components and the power core itself. I need a total of 3 more crystals. So I've got 4 people here trying. These will be 5s. Mystic energy is worth 2. Okay, and our champion gets to go even if that gets flipped. I need a total of 4 more Atlantium, but I have 2 ore and 2 Atlantium already with the Artificer, so I'm going to convert the 2 ore into Atlantium over here, and I should be set with the Atlantium. For gold, I need a ton. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this isn't going to be enough for this round. We'll have to try and collect more, but we at least have a couple here. I also am running out of Mystic Energy, so I've got 2 workers here. We've placed 2 workers, and we didn't have to use the leader for the Artificer. I just ended up doing that. But we're placing 2 workers here to at least cancel 1 misfortune. So that means probably only 3 tiles will be flipped for that, plus the 3 from the Wrath of Gods. Oh, that's 6, you guys. And then we have place 1 Mystic Barrier and gain 1 Mystic Energy here as well, using our Champions 2 here. And then the Scholar is going to have enough resources to build 1 component, and the Champion is going to as well. Let's draw our 4 misfortunes. Our first one is the libraries. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So I'm going to use my canceling ability. I'll use up those 2 workers. We're not going to flip the libraries. Great. Our second one is the forest. Okay, so that is going to hit our champion here. Remember, she still will be able to roll for this. We'll do that right after we finish flipping. But she has no mystic energy. I was hoping that she'd gain 1 or potentially 2 before having to roll, but that's not going to happen. Card 3 is the libraries anyways, so I guess the library is going to get flipped. And finally, we have another controlled flood. Well, I know where I'm doing that. Hills, we'll do those 2. Still overall happy with this. I can be able to activate everyone, so I'll start off with our champion, and we're trying to roll a 5 to get a crystal, but we have no mystic energy, so it's what we roll. Looking for that 5, looking for that 5. That's a 1. Okay, she failed. Next, we'll activate our 2 workers that are in the center of the board, and they're each going to gain 1 mystic energy. So our champions will get 1, and our scholar will get 1. We're also going to activate the contingency field, and that was all the champion. So the champion will get a second mystic energy. Whew, good for rerolling. And we'll place out this mystic barrier. It honestly doesn't matter. I'm just going to remove it with the Wrath of Gods. Okay, now we're going to do a bunch of rolling. We're going to start with the crystals. So we have 2 people in from the scholars and 1 from the explorer, all trying to roll 5 or higher. So we'll start with the scholar, 5 or higher, 5 or higher. That's a 2. I'm gonna forego it. I'm gonna forego it. That was one of her tries. Here's her second one. She rolled a 5. Great. So she gets 1 crystal for that. And then for our explorer, he does have 2 mystic energy. And he rolls a 5. Didn't even need it. So he will also get 1 crystal. So we got 2 out of the 4 crystals. Our next step will be to do the artificer, trying to obtain gold. We have to roll 5s or higher. We've got 2 of them there. Sweet. That's 1. Okay, here's our second one. And that's a 6. Holy moly. That gave us 2 gold. That's great, because we need the most gold. So I am not sad about that. We will activate our 2 artificer workers here to get 2 Atlantium from the 2 ore that she has on her board. And that's all the Atlantium we need. So we have all the Atlantium we need. We're 1 crystal away from having all the crystals, and we still need a bunch of gold. We're now going to play our Virtue of Sharing card. That's going to allow us to rearrange all of the resources. So I'm going to do that so that our champion and our scholar have the resources needed to be able to build both of these on their own. So I have 2 crystals and 2 gold here. I've got 2 crystals, a gold, and an Atlantium here. So both of those are now built. That's our 2 C's. All we have are the 2 A's left. This board's really coming along, isn't it? It looks awesome. Just 2 more and then our power core to win the game. Finally, for our Wrath of Gods, we're going to remove one of these mystic barriers for the 1 tile we have to do. Then we have to flip 2 more, and I'm going to do both of these in the forges. That'll end this round. In order for us to win the game, we are missing 1 crystal and 3 gold. Once we get both of those, we have everything we need. We just need to be able to last this round and then the next round. Let's do this. Let's see if we can survive. For this round, we're going to go ahead and spend 4 of our mystic energy to place out a mystic barrier here. Because if this spot gets flipped over, we can't get crystals anymore. So I'm going to have to make sure that this area lasts. I am having the scholar try and collect a crystal, rolling 3 times. We don't have any benefits for it. I think maybe in 3 times we can roll a 6. We do have 1 mystic energy with us, so remaining, so we can at least use that. We have everyone here. We're going to be rolling for 4s for gold. We've got our champions here. We've got 2 of our explorer and our scholar, so we can also use mystic energy for 2 if we want here. We've placed 2 workers here, so we can place out a mystic barrier again and gain a mystic energy. We also have 2 people here to cancel a misfortune. That is our champions workers. And then we are going to have the artificer can build 1 of the units on her own or 1 of the components. And then between the explorer and the artificer, we can build the second one. Those are going to be the last 2 components. Next round, then we just have to do the power core and we win the game. I almost forgot, the champion is able to give someone 1 mystic energy. I'm going to give that to the scholar. So the scholar now has 2 mystic energy. Here we go. We're going to draw our 4 misfortune cards. So our first one is a controlled flood. You know what? We're going to cancel that. We're going to cancel that. And that means if we do that, these 2 workers are returned to the supply, but we don't need them really anymore. It's much better to be able to cancel that flipping 2 tiles and not worry about those workers. Hopefully that was a smart idea. Here's our second one. We have the hills. Okay, so that's right here. Our next card will be the forest. Okay, that's going to use our mystic barrier. So if I flip another forest, that's not going to be good. I have cities. Okay, cities were okay. We have now officially lost 1 entire peninsula. But once again, none of our workers were lost. So we're going to be able to do all of the actions. The first thing we're going to do to activate is we are going to go ahead and use the 2 workers to be able to place 1 mystic barrier and give 1 mystic energy. And I'm going to give that mystic energy to the scholar. That's the one that's on our component board. Now let's go ahead and do all of our rolling. So we have to roll 4s here and 6s here. Let's start with the 4s and end with the 6s. We'll do the 3 champion workers first. So we're looking for a 4. That's a 2. Well, let's use our 1 mystic energy to make that a 4. thanks to the scholar being there. So we've gained 1 gold. Let's see about a second one. That's a 2, so that's a fail. And our third one, that's a 6. Great, so we obtained 2 gold. We'll move to the Explorer. The Explorer has 2 people there looking for 4 or higher. That's a 2. We've got some Mystic Energy. Let's use 1 to make that a 4. Wow, making that beat +2 is insane. The second one for our Explorer, nothing. And then finally we have our Scholar. Come on, that's a 1. Yeah, I was bound to get some bad rolls. What's important now is we're now going to roll 3 times, and we need to get a 6, or at least a 5. Come on, because we can always... Okay, that's a 4. I'm going to do it. I need that crystal. I'm going to spend 2 Mystic Energy to make that a 6. So that's 1 crystal that we get. Now we're going to see if I didn't need to do that. Let's see if we roll a 6 here. No, we don't. I'm not going to spend energy for that one. And our third one, okay, good. I did it the best way. Our Scholar got 1 more crystal, but that's what we needed. Here we have our 2 components we're going to build. We have the Artificer, has 2 gold and 1 Atlantium just to build this. That's going to unflood 1 flooded tile, so we're going to unflood the tile in the cities. I don't want any of these to have all of the tiles flooded, just in case, because we have to flood 2 tiles of another location. Our Explorer and our Artificer are going to work together to do the cognitive transfer. This one we get to draw 3 library cards and distribute them among the counselors or players. Here we have our 3 library cards, the Mystic Adds. Once per round when building a component, you may spend 1 Mystic Energy in place of a single resource. That would have been super sweet. I'm actually going to give that to the Explorer. We have the Ballad of Courage. This round, whenever any of your followers would be returned to your pool, when a tile floods, they first immediately take their action. Oh, that's like basically a champion ability. So I'll give that to the Artificer. Not that that even matters. Pay 1 less resource when building a component. Now, is the power core considered a component? I'm going to say, why the heck not? It's still a component of the actual machine to get us off this planet, or off this island. So I'm going to say yes, so we can do 1 less, which is great. I'll go ahead and give this one to, I think I'll do this to the Artificer. Just so you guys can see what the board looks like. I love how it looks when it's completed, and then once we get the power core in here, we're ready to rock. Not before, of course, we flip 3, that's right, 3 additional tiles. Let's go do that. Thank you, Wrath of Gods. Looking at our ever-shrinking island, I'm going to go ahead and do the Mystic Barrier for 1 for the Wrath of Gods, the hills for 2, and the mountains for 3. This means we have 1 tile left in every location except for the forges. We have 2. Woohoo! Okay, we just have to survive 1 more round and build that power core. Let's do it! This round is going to be quick for placement. We're placing all of our non-leaders here in the center of the island because as long as we survive this round of drawing misfortunes, we're going to win the game. I did almost forget, I am going to place 2 of our basic workers here to cancel a misfortune, and I will cancel a special misfortune, no problem. Then what we have to do in order to build that power core is we have to have each player place their leader on the build space, and we all need to contribute at least 1 resource. The Artificer had 2 Atlantium, the Scholar and the Champion each had a crystal, the Explorer had at least 1 Mystic Energy, the Champion had another Mystic Energy, and then our gold we had between the Artificer and the Scholar, I believe. So we have 2 of everything, because as you can see here, we need 2 crystals, 2 gold, 2 Atlantium, and 2 Mystic Energy. Once we build that, this is going to go into here, and we are out of this island. Here we go. Here's our first misfortune. We have the mountains. Okay, we'll take that one. Our second card will be a controlled flood. Perfect. We're canceling that with our 2 green workers. They're going to be put back into the supply, but no controlled flood. Okay, I better not draw another controlled flood. Here's number 3. We have calm seas. Wow. Wow. And our 4th one, we have the forges. No problem. Well, it may be a small island, but it's an island that's large enough for us to escape. We have all the necessary resources to build the power core, so we'll place that on our board. And with that, we have officially won the game. I don't think, well, I may have been able to survive another round, maybe 2, if I had placed workers, but it would have been tight. That was a close game. That was fun. I haven't tried level 5 yet, but I think I'm ready for level 5. I'll have to give it a shot. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You can see, I think the biggest thing is this production quality is off the charts. I really enjoy it. I like it a lot better co-op though. Playing solo is fun, but co-op is the best because you're going to be talking with people. What you can't see on this video is all the time it takes to decide where to place those workers. I make those decisions and then I just tell you what I do. But the fun part when you're playing co-op is, oh, do you want to go there? Oh, I'm really good at doing this. Oh, I can bring my leader there, and then you can all roll dice and get have to roll a lesser result in order to still succeed. All that fun stuff. So I really enjoy this, especially as a co-op. Can play up to 6, no problem, because everything's simultaneous. So I highly recommend this one. I will say that the first edition was in my top 30 the top 30 co-ops. This has got to be at least in my top 15 co-ops now. I really like it. I've played it with a bunch of different people, and it will stay in my collection. And how many resource management worker placement games co-op do you see out there? Not many. So yeah, this one, and with the production that they have, and with all the different types of characters you can play, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will catch you at the next stop.